tissue. Generally, glandular epithelial tissues are formed by two types of epithelial tissues, columnar and cuboidal. I think you remember that point. Both columnar and cuboidal epithelial tissues constitute the glandular epithelial tissues. So these are of actually four types: unicellular, multicellular, exocrine, and endocrine glands. Glands are of four types: unicellular glands, multicellular glands, exocrine glands, and endocrine glands. So unicellular glands, best example, alimentary canal glands, which are called goblet cells, secrete mucus. Function of goblet cells is secretion of mucus. Mucus secretion is the function of goblet cells. Diagram, there it is. You see that diagram also, that goblet cell. Left side, for your left side diagram is given. And multicellular glands also given. Example, salivary glands secrete saliva. Not only salivary glands, pancreas, etc., they are all come under the multicellular glands, because each salivary gland is made up of special cells called zymogen cells. In the same way, pancreatic tissue is made up of acinar cells, many cells. That's why these are multicellular glands. Salivary glands secrete the secretion is called saliva. So then exocrine glands, glands with ducts. They pour their secretions through ducts. But whereas endocrine glands, they are ductless glands. They pour their secretions into the blood, body fluids, because there are no ducts. Hence directly they pour their secretions into the body fluids, like especially blood and lymph. They are transported to the target cells. So exocrine glands with ducts, secretions include mucus, saliva. Here also you can give that saliva, earwax, cerumen, milk, digestive enzymes, sebum. They are all come under this exocrine secretions. But ductless glands, their secretions are always called chemical messengers, which are hormones. So this portion is left yesterday regarding epithelial tissues. And there are three types of exocrine glands already you know: apocrine, merocrine, holocrine glands. If the tip of the gland is pinched off along with secretions, it is apocrine, example mammary glands. If no gland is damaged while releasing secretions, merocrine, pancreas. And in the holocrine glands, the total gland is also damaged along with secretions. That is holocrine, sebaceous glands. So these three come under the exocrine category. Again, exocrine glands are three types: apocrine, merocrine, and holocrine. Though not mentioned in the NCERT book, but definitely chances are there for coming, because these three are very important. Other standard books also it is given, except our CBSE NCERT. So this is about the epithelial tissues we have completed. Now the connective tissues, the second type of basic tissues, connective tissues. Epithelial tissues are derivatives of all the three germ layers, ectoderm, endoderm and mesoderm. But connective tissues are exclusively derived from mesoderm only. Connective tissue is a derivative of mesoderm. Totally, without any exception, totally the connective tissues are always derived from the middle germ layer, that is mesoderm. Whenever you come across with meso, it refers to middle. Okay, like like that, the second type of basic tissues in order of sequence: first epithelial, second connective tissues, third muscular, and fourth neural tissues. This is evolutionary pattern arrangement, so you should not change it. This is also question once in the NEET exam. So arrange the correct sequence of tissues basing on their origin. That is the question. First priority goes to epithelial tissue, second place goes to connective, third muscular, and fourth neural tissues. Number of times already you have listened, and I told you also, you know about this. Now connective tissues, the name is so given because the tissue which binds the other tissues, binding of other tissues, that's why it is called connective tissue. The tissue which binds the other tissues. Even organs also are binding, packed by these connective tissues. If there is no connective tissue, organs are freely left in the body. So there is no support. So that's why binding of other tissues, the tissues which are called the connective tissues. Connective tissues contains the fibers and fiber secreting cells. Different cells and fibers are present in the connective tissues. So these fibers are mainly two types. These are the supporting fibers of the body. Suppose these fibers are not there, particular shape is also not gained by the particular organ, even total shape of the body also. That's why there are two types of fibers: collagen fibers, elastin fibers. Collagen fibers are white in color. Because of this protein collagen, they are white in color. Hence they are also called white fibers. Elastin fibers are yellow in color, yellow fibers, because this protein elastin gives that coloration. So collagen fibers are white fibers. Elastin fibers are also called yellow fibers. These cells secrete the intercellular matrix. The intercellular, not intracellular. You remember this. This is the most important substance that is present only in the connective tissues. The other tissues are devoid of this intercellular matrix. The matrix rich tissue is connective tissue. Intercellular matrix also called ground substance. It is also known as ground substance. This intercellular matrix is made up of complex polysaccharides. You add this complex. Simple polysaccharides you should not write. Complex polysaccharides means polysaccharides impregnated with other substances. Such polysaccharides are always called complex polysaccharides. Okay? So this is the basic substance or ground substance of the connective tissues. There is no connective tissue without a matrix. Simply, if you want to don't want to pronunciate total intercellular matrix, you can simply say matrix instead of ground substance and intercellular matrix. Simply you can say matrix. That is made up of complex polysaccharides. Fifth point, keep star mark, because very important. The ground substance of connective tissues are made up of phenols, water, polysaccharides. Simply phenols, water not added here. Instead of that, complex polysaccharides. Complex polysaccharides itself is its meaning is that implies that it is mixed with other substances. That's why they are called complex polysaccharides. And connective tissues, the supporting framework of the body. They provide supporting framework of the body. Basing on the matrix, the connective tissues are how many types? 3 types. What are they? Loose connective tissue, A, dense connective tissue, B, and C, special connective tissues. Special connective tissues includes cartilage, cartilage, bone, and blood. Already I asked you to make it underline. In the classroom, when we discussed about the tissues, I have asked all of you to underline this specialized connective tissues. Cartilage, bone, and blood. These 3 come under the specialized connective tissues. So now let us discuss, let us take first of all the loose connective tissue. Loose connective tissue contains semi-fluid matrix, not solid matrix. This is semi-fluid matrix, almost like fluid, but it's not fully liquid state. So semi, that's why semi-fluid matrix is present. Characteristic feature of the loose connective tissue. Contains fibers, mentioned already, collagen and elastin fibers, and cells. Fibers and cells are present. Best example, areolar connective tissue. First loose connective tissue is areolar connective tissue. Only 2 types of loose connective tissues given, areolar and the adipose tissue. These 2 only given. But we have reticular connective tissue also in the IP book. Of course not necessary. Simply remember loose connective tissue is of 2 types, areolar and adipose tissues. Areolar tissues have 3 types of cells, mainly fibroblasts, which produce fibers, collagen and elastin fibers, and mast cells, which produce inflammatory mediators. They are also not given in the NCERT. Details are given in our book. Mast cells produce inflammatory mediators like what are they? Histamine, bradykinin, serotonin, heparin, etc. So the mast cells and macrophages. These are the 3 types of cells given, but we have studied 5 types of cells. Adipocytes and plasma cells also in our book they are added, but here only 3 types of cells: fiber secreting fibroblasts, inflammatory mediator secreting mast cells, and the phagocytic cells called the macrophages. Macrophages, tissue fixed phagocytic cells are the macrophages. This is about areolar connective tissue. And then adipose connective tissue. Adipose connective tissue also called fat tissue, commonly known as fat tissue. So this adipose tissue stores the excess nutrients by converting them into fat. Adipocytes, special cell with hexagonal shape like this, almost look like a plant cell, and the nucleus is pushed aside and the entire cell is occupied by this fat droplet, which stores the fat, excess nutrients in the form of fat. Excess nutrients are converted into fat and store them in the adipocytes. That is adipose tissue. Fat storing cells. Simply it is given. Only definition is the conversion of excess nutrients into fat and their storage in the special tissues called adipose tissue or fat tissue. It is also, I already give you the technical name of the adipose tissue, corpora adiposa. You remember this cell, plasma membrane, cytoplasm, fat droplet, and these are all nucleus, eccentric nucleus. When the nucleus is pushed aside, it is eccentric nucleus. You can also see in the life cycle of plasmodium that specially appeared stage in the life cycle of plasmodium is signet ring stage. Okay, these are the loose connective tissues. Then dense connective tissues. Dense connective tissues, name itself, it is there. The fibers are compactly arranged, tightly packed. Total tissue is tightly packed with fibers with less number of cells and more number of fibers. That connective tissue with less number of cells and large number of fibers, packed fibers, that is called dense connective tissue. It is of two types. What are they? Regular and irregular. Regular dense connective tissue. Regular dense fibrous connective tissue. Fibrous also you must add. Dense fibrous regular connective tissue. In this, the fibers are like this. They are parallelly arranged. In a systematic manner, these fibers are arranged. This diagram also will be given, and these are the cells, fiber producing cells here and there, they are present, and all these are the, what are they? Collagen fibers. More collagen fibers are present which are parallelly arranged. So on seeing this diagram, you can say that it is a dense regular fibrous connective tissue. Examples: tendons which connect the muscles with bones, and ligaments which connect one bone with the other bone. Two bones are connected by ligaments, and muscles and bones are connected by tendons. Best examples. So that is dense regular. And dense irregular connective tissue. Irregular fibrous connective tissue. Here the fibers are, all these are cells here and there, these are all cells, but the fibers are wavy, in a wavy manner, but they are arranged in scattered manner, in an irregular pattern. So regular pattern of arrangement of these fibers is not seen in the dense irregular fibrous connective tissue. This is dense irregular fibrous connective tissue. Example: dermis of the skin. Simply in the NCERT it is given skin. Okay, and elastic connective tissue, third dense connective tissue is also there, but not given. Arteries, trachea, bronchi, larynx, they are all best examples. Ligaments, elastic ligaments present in between the vertebrae, they all come under the elastic connective tissue, of course, not there. These two are given, regular and irregular fibrous connective tissues. These two diagrams try to remember: adipocyte, dense regular, dense irregular, these three diagrams. Now, specialized connective tissues. Specialized connective tissues, the first one is cartilage. Specialized type of connective tissues. Again, these are three types. Number one is cartilage. Let us take the characteristics of cartilage. Types of cartilage is not necessary. Hyaline cartilage, elastic cartilage, and white fibrous cartilage. Of course, not necessary. But you take this cartilage in which the fiber secreting cells are there, which are matrix and fiber secreting cells are present, chondrocytes, in a specialized fluid filled spaces called lacunae. Of course, the same fluid filled spaces lacunae given in under the bone, but under the cartilage this is not mentioned, but we have mentioned now lacunae. The same is mentioned in the bony tissue. Chondrocytes present in the lacunae produce the solid pliable matrix. This combination of description of matrix should not be forgotten. Solid pliable matrix. Hard non-pliable matrix is bone. Pliable means flexible. The matrix, suppose the pinna, it is bending like this, so it is flexible. Tip of the nose is also bending like this. So solid pliable matrix. Examples: the nose tip, simply given, direct examples given. Ear corners, external ear corners, also you can say pinna. And the intervertebral discs between vertebra, intervertebral discs, etc. Long bones of limbs, etc. At the junction of the long bones also articular cartilage is present. And trachea, bronchi also made up of hyaline cartilage. Larynx also made up of cartilage. So like that, this is about the cartilage, but these examples only given in the NCERT book. Then second one is bony tissue. Specialized type, second one, bone. The bony connective tissue is the hardest connective tissue in the body. Hardest connective tissue. And calcified tissue in the body. Calcification means the tissue impregnated with calcium phosphate and calcium carbonate. So that's why calcified tissue. This is decalcified connective tissue. This is calcified connective tissue. The bony matrix is hard and pliable. Hard non-pliable matrix. That is solid pliable matrix. This combination of wording, remember, solid pliable, hard non-pliable. This combination, very nice combination. Underline here also, hard non-pliable matrix. And each lacuna consists of one osteocyte. Actually, unit of bone is Haversian system. Osteon is a unit of bone. Haversian system, of course, not given here. Haversian system not mentioned here. Osteocytes are enclosed in lacunae. They support the functions. They support the body, shape of the body, protection of organs, protection in function. So many brain, heart, lungs, these are all being protected in function, and also bring the movements by provide attachment areas to muscles. So that the movements are brought over along with the coordination with the muscular activities. Both muscles and bones are coordinated, work in a coordinated fashion and permits the all permissible movements. So that's why protection, attachment areas to muscles provide, and the locomotion also is the most important function of the bones. So this is about the bony tissue. Types of bones, there are so many are there: sesamoid bones, visceral bones, cartilaginous bones, dermal bones, compact bones, spongy bones. Already we have discussed, of course, not necessary for NEET examination. This is enough. And then third specialized type of connective tissue is blood, fluid connective tissue. Actually, it is given fluid connective tissue. Fluid connective tissues are two types, blood and lymph. Already in the body fluids we have completed. Of course, need not be repeated again and again. These two are the fluid connective tissues. Blood contains what? Plasma, formed elements. Plasma percentage 55% of blood is plasma. Formed elements remaining 45% is formed elements. So formed elements again RBC, WBC, platelets. So these things already according to their numerical status also we have discussed in the body fluids and circulation exam also going to be conducted. Again we will discuss in the revision tests also, part tests also we will discuss in the body fluids. Now not now. So that's why details On blood and lymph not given in this exam, structural organization exam. There only we will touch all those things. So okay, this is about the specialized type of connective tissues. So we have completed connective tissues also. Now then third basic type of tissues, muscular tissues. Because we have to deal with earthworm, cockroach and frog also. It takes more time. That's why I am finishing off these. It's very simply it is given. That's why we are able to complete. Muscular tissues. Study of muscle tissue is myology. Muscular tissue is also derivative of mesoderm, except eye muscles, eyeball muscles, iris muscles and ciliary muscles. These two muscles are derivatives of ectoderm. So, myology, mesodermal derivatives, and three types of muscular tissues are present. What are they? Skeletal, smooth, and lastly cardiac muscles. So locomotion and movement also again this is repeated. So in the connective tissues and especially in the animal tissues, blood, lymph, muscles again they are going to be repeated in the human anatomy. So three types of muscles are there: skeletal muscles, smooth muscles and cardiac muscles. First of all, skeletal muscles. Skeletal muscles also called voluntary muscles because under the control of brain, coordination of brain they work. Hence with conscious effort they work. That's why they are also called voluntary muscles. And many nuclei are present, syncytial muscles, having dark bands and light bands alternately arranged. That's why that nature is called striped nature. Hence these are also called striped muscles or striated muscles. Because of the alternately arranged dark bands and light bands, they are also called striped or striated muscles. They rapidly contract and rapidly fatigue. That's why these are also called fatigue muscles. And many nuclei are present, hence these are also called syncytial muscles and also called fatigue muscles. See how many names are there for the, and these are cylindrical muscles, long cylindrical muscles. Short cylindrical muscles are long cylindrical unbranched muscles are skeletal muscles. Short cylindrical branched muscles are the cardiac muscles. Both are cylindrical, but these are longer, they are shorter, and these are unbranched, they are branched. That is the difference between these two types of striated muscles. Cardiac muscles also striated muscles. Cardiac muscles resemble the skeletal muscles in having striations, stripes or striations. So that is, this is about the skeletal muscle. Main movement of the body, posture of the body is under the control of these muscles, which is called skeletal muscles. And then smooth muscles. Skeletal muscles, why the name is given, attached to bones. Hence they are also called skeletal. Every word there is a meaning. Skeletal muscles they are called because they are attached to bones. Voluntary muscles they are called because they work under the control of brain, control and coordination of brain. And striped or striated muscles because of the alternately arranged dark bands and light bands. And syncytial muscles, many nuclei are present. Fatigue muscles rapidly contract and rapidly tilt. Remaining things you all know. Plasmalemma is called sarcolemma, cytoplasm is called sarcosome, mitochondria also called sarcosomes, cytoplasm also called sarcoplasm, endoplasmic reticulum also called sarcoplasmic reticulum. Like that there are so many. In skeletal muscles, parallelly arranged filaments are present. Those parallelly arranged filaments are called myofibrils. Parallelly arranged filaments are called myofibrils. They are present. So smooth muscles are located in the internal organs, hence these are also called visceral muscles. You take the skeletal muscle, so this is the skeletal muscle structure, and these are all nuclei. Nuclei are arranged in the periphery. They are all arranged in periphery. and these are the dark bands and light bands, again dark bands and light bands, again dark bands and light bands, and parallelly arranged these filaments are also present, called myofibrils, and here and there sarcoplasmic reticulum also present, and mitochondria also present. These are all mitochondria. So these are mitochondria. That is skeletal muscle. But smooth muscles are like this. They are tapering on either ends. They are arranged like this, and middle swollen region with nucleus. See how they are arranged, overlapping manner arranged, and tapering ends. That's why these are also called fusiform muscles. Fusiform muscles are smooth muscles or visceral muscles, and involuntary muscles. Why? Because without consciousness they work. Without the intervention of brain they work. Always continuously contract, but slowly contracts. Discontinuously contract, and rapidly fatigue, and continuously contract but slowly contract and no fatigue occurs. So involuntary muscles. They also show spasms, means prolonged contractions of muscles called spasms. So smooth muscles or visceral muscles or fusiform muscles or involuntary muscles or unstriped muscles or unstriated muscles, all are one and the same. And last and final muscles are the cardiac muscles. Cardiac muscles are striped, unstriped muscles. You can also say striped involuntary muscles. Better you say like that. Striped involuntary muscles or striated involuntary muscles are the cardiac muscles. These are short, cylindrical and branched muscles. If you see the diagram, you can see those branches like this. This is a branch. So here this is again branch. Like this they are. So at their junctions where the branch occurs, the dark lines are present. These dark lines at the junctions are called intercalated discs, ICDS. Intercalated discs are simply IDS. Simply IDS, capital I, capital D, S, intercalated discs, where the gap junctions are present, and remaining striations are also there. So these are all striations. And uninucleated or binucleated sometimes. Either uninucleated or binucleated. This is about the cardiac muscle. Characteristic feature is intercalated discs. They contain gap junctions through which ions, minerals, they always transport between the neighboring cells, and also put the total muscle in as a unit of contraction, total muscle. Because stimulation of one cardiomyocyte stimulates the other cardiomyocytes to put the total muscle as a single unit with regard to contraction. So that is the most important nature of the cardiac muscle. These are also involuntary and striped because dark bands and light bands are alternately arranged. Hence striped involuntary muscles, presence of intercalated discs and all these things are there. So with this muscular tissue is also completed. Neural tissue is left. Tomorrow we can see. If there is no holiday tomorrow, we can continue. I don't know. Of course, I have no message. If there is a holiday, day after tomorrow we can meet. Okay? Bye.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Bye, ma. Bye, ma. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, ma.